last Friday, I had a friend over at my place, and we were watching YouTube, of course, as you do. You hang out, turn on TV, we're bored, waiting for a concert. Actually, it was Thursday now that I think about it. And we throw on YouTube to kill some time. We watched a couple of, like outtakes of shows and a couple of creators that we like, things that are sports related. We watched that like crazy Timothy Chalamet marketing meeting thing. You heard about that?
No, I haven't.
Neutrally, have you heard of that? The Marty Supreme, Timothy Chalamet thing?
No, I have not.
Well, quickly, an aside, sorry, I'm already on a tangent, but A24 making a movie with Timothy Chalamet. I actually don't even know the premise. I think it's like ping pong or bowling or something like that. It's some weird thing, but they're like, the claim that a lot of the people are making who are commenting on this thing is that this is what happens when you give Gen Z a budget for marketing. And what it is it's this fake 18-minute Zoom call that they uploaded to YouTube. Of course, it looks like a Zoom call. People filter in at the beginning. It's a bunch of like random people who are kind of like half paying attention. It's like really crappy MacBook cameras. And it's Timothy Chalamet sitting there with his MacBook, basically pitching increasingly insane marketing stunts for his movie, Marty Supreme, right? So he's like, what do you think of when you think of Barbie? And they're like, I don't know. Yeah,
Pink.
That's literally what he's going for. He's like, I think of pink. And so what about Marty Supreme? What color evokes Marty Supreme? And they're like, orange, because he wears like an orange tracksuit or something. And he's like, exactly. He's like, I've had my designer work on this thing for 6 months. And he's like, can I screen share? Do I need permission? And things, because it's a Zoom call, right? And he pulls it up. And he goes into a bunch of folders and his desktop's all crazy all over the place. And he pulls up and he goes like 6 layers deep. And he's like, okay, here's what my designer came up with. And it's just like an orange square, basically. And the rest of it's just crazy like that. So it gets increasingly, it's a fun watch. So anyway, we pulled that up and we were watching that. That's not the point of this segment. After that, the thing that was suggested was a Subway Takes YouTube video, long form YouTube video. Are you guys familiar with Subway Takes?
No.
Neutrally? No. Okay, so Subway Takes is a show that is by this guy named Kareem, I believe. He's in New York City, and he has a old-fashioned New York City yellow Metro subway card. And he attaches a little lav mic to it. And the original premise is, I think it was kind of random people. He would sit down next to them on the subway, just random kind of men on the street type thing, but it's a subway. He says, what's your take? And they're supposed to give them like spiciest take to that thing. And they go and they answer with their take, and he'll either say 100% agree or 100% disagree. There's never really kind of a middle. And then they have to justify it, basically. They either argue with him or they kind of go back and forth on it. And originally this was a TikTok show. He literally actually talks about it this way. This was 2-3 years ago, I think, where he says, I literally designed this thing to be a show. It's a format, it's repeatable, we can hit it over and over again, it's easy, anybody can do it, there's an infinite number of people in the subway, and people love kind of hearing people's takes.
Infinite topics.
Also, Kareem's just a fun guy, basically. He's an interesting personality to talk to and always has like a clean reaction to it, one way or the other. So it's entertaining. And it blows up. It's got, I think millions of followers, definitely millions, probably billions of views at this point, honestly. They're getting like huge celebrities on there. I'm sure they're signing brand deals and things like that. And I just so happened to see on YouTube the other day that they've actually been uploading to YouTube as well for about a year. Now, I'm not the biggest fan. It's probably a bigger deal with his like true core audience that he was uploading, but I had no idea. But he's doing kind of the same concept in segments that are 7 minutes, 11 minutes, 30 minutes long on YouTube. And of course, the format expands perfectly to it because it basically becomes an interview show on the subway, right? So he's got all sorts of celebrities. He's got kind of random people, I think, sometimes as well. And they continue going along at like she has like a Zoe Kravitz interview, for example, on here. And they're getting 100,000 views, 200,000. I mean, on average, probably about 50,000 views on these things. Upwards to, let's go and see the most popular ones, some of them with 1 million views already within the first year of this show. So I just found it interesting that this is the first show that I've seen make the jump from TikTok, from short form to long form. And I was curious about if you had any thoughts about what that kind of means for the platforms.
I think it's inevitable. You know, you started this long story with we were watching YouTube,
Yes.
right? What did we used to say before that? We were watching television.
Yes.
We were watching the TV. Think about that. You don't just watch TV. You watch the shows or the movies on TV or the news or whatever. Now, YouTube has become the TV. You don't sit down at the couch and say, we're going to watch TikTok. Funny enough, my wife and I, we watch short form together sometimes, right?
Yeah.
She's watching her stuff, sharing it with me. I'm watching stuff, I'm sharing with her. That's only because we don't have a TV in our room. But if we had a TV, we definitely would have that sucker on. And that, for me, it's just going to happen more and more. I was watching a podcast yesterday that started on TikTok, and the viewers like, you guys should have a podcast. And they didn't think to launch their podcast on TikTok. They thought to launch it on YouTube. So their views are significantly less on YouTube, but they were doing it and they've been consistent, and their views are slowly growing. It just doesn't feel right to do long form on TikTok.
Yeah.
That's really the point, more than that YouTube has become the new TV or the destination for creators. And I'm saying this for the opposite reason. More and more I'm getting tempted to watch YouTube shorts. And I'm not a big fan of shorts because you're not really retaining anything. Mm-hmm. It's just like mindless scrolling, little bits of entertainment. But I like to learn and I like to go deep onto topics. So I don't want to just know about one part of, a war. I want to know like how it started, where was the motivation, and then, what was like the shot that started the battle, and then how did it end? What were the negotiations like? And then what was kind of like the consequences of it afterwards. So you don't get that from short form.
Yeah.
But why does short form find me? It's because it's just so native to my phone.
Yes.
And on the TV, TikTok is, and short form is not native to that format. And so for me, that is the thing that people don't think about, but naturally we understand, and it's like instinctual, that is causing the migration to YouTube. That's beyond even the fact that YouTube is the new TV, or that YouTube for creators has been the final destination. It just fits right for a longer form content. So that's what's interesting. TikTok is letting longer and longer shows. I had a friend, Matt, share a long form vlog that was being uploaded to TikTok.
Wow.
But it's like forcing something. It's like, what do they say? Forcing like a round peg into a square hole kind of thing. And it's just going to happen more and more. You almost never hear it's like, hey, you almost never hear the opposite. I'm going to turn my show into a TikTok show. You might put clips on there, but you're not thinking, yeah, my final destination is going to be TikTok. TikTok is just a support to what you do on YouTube. And then on the other side, TikTok is just a beginning inevitably to end on YouTube.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing to me, well, actually, first of all, when that friend was over, literally we had a kind of carousel of shorts come up on the TV because we were watching on the TV, of course, because we were watching together, right? And we were talking about it. He's like, why? Why do they even do that? It sucks to watch those on the TV. And I was like, yeah, exactly. It sucks to watch those on the TV. But you bring up something interesting that I hadn't thought of before, which is that, YouTube is so good for those deep dives, those rabbit holes, kind of nerding out on things. Short form almost inherently never lets you go on those deep dives, because as soon as you click on one thing, the next suggested thing is almost definitely not going to be about that topic. It'll be about something entirely different.
That's kind of crazy if you think about it.
It is. And it actually also explains why our strategy with Vlogging Academy makes so much sense. Because I remember your editor tells you when you are making your best videos, what are you doing? Nerding out.
Yes.
You're nerding out. And that's because people who get obsessed with a certain topic or even a certain person or a certain kind of approach to something, just something they're interested in, they want to go deep. And when they want to go deep, they go to YouTube. And I've never thought about that viewing behavior and how that informs that. But to me, that actually explains it, which is that you're never, when you're on short form, able to go deep on YouTube, right? And so as a creator, that means you're always staying at the surface level, right? And I think that speaks to this show, right? Which is that the reason I bring it up is because it's such an interesting version of this evolution from short form into long form, because he has a format that worked on short form and he found a way to make it work on long form by just extending out the interview portion of it, right? And guess what that does? It lets him go deep with these interviewees, whereas before they had to keep it really witty and short and within like a minute or two, right? Now they can go 30 minutes long, right? And so to me, it really exemplifies that shift, and it was a unique example of something piloted on short form, especially with the mindset of turning it into a show. He literally called it a show when it was on short form, and how that goes into long form. Ready to get some follow-up?
Yep.
Speaking of which, we have been charting the success of Two Sleepy People, which is Creator Camp's indie movie. Creator Camp is a small collective of creators based out of, I think, Texas. We've talked about how they did a tour where they released their film with Baron Ryan in a couple of months ago in October, starting in Seattle, going down to California, and then to New York. And then eventually they got a release deal with a distribution company that put them out in real theaters across the country on November 14th. Just a quick update here. It's continuing to have success. So on the 14th, they had a decent release, right? They filled out a couple of theaters. They had apparently got enough money to make it back into theaters again, because they're going to have a second release here on December 5th. So they continue to kind of parlay their success in one kind of launch into the next, and they continue to let this movie have legs and have it continue going on. Just wanted to flag it for you. I don't know if you have anything to say about it before we get into the real topics, just because it's working. The thing that they're doing, turning real stories designed for the big screen with the goal of releasing them on YouTube, it's working, and they're getting it out in real theaters.
Well, the only thing I think about and the most successful thing they've done is get onto this show multiple weeks in a row, because this is a small topic we talked about, weeks ago, and they've continued to have legs. I mean, obviously that's kind of a joke, but it's just a beginning. More creators are going to want to launch on YouTube, right? It's free, no gatekeepers. I actually have some thoughts on another topic we're covering later when it comes to gatekeepers, and being somebody that needs permission versus being somebody that's free, and that freedom to do what you want the way you want. That's why YouTube's an interesting place. Everything should be on there. In fact, everything kind of is on there, and that makes it both awesome and kind of scary. But that's what you get with freedom of speech. And that's where, who would have ever thought YouTube's kind of winning bet or strength is the fact that you can upload anything up there within reason. Obviously, it can't be unlawful or whatever. And so these people's movies, shows, that it's the last thing I'll say too on the last topic is Blockbuster. Okay. Do you remember going to Blockbuster?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I'm not sure if Doc Rock is in the chat or not. Doc Rock is definitely from the generation that I grew up from. And if you don't know, if you're listening to this, you were born after 2000, Blockbuster was the place you go to rent movies. And one of the things that you do is you walk the store and you look at all the covers of the different movies you might rent. And you could spend a ridiculous amount of time looking for a movie, okay? Yeah. Because it's not just simply going to the section you like. You might end up walking the whole store, but there's something exciting about seeing the different covers, picking up a video, reading it, and you just keep doing that. So you can find yourself in there for 20 or 30 minutes easily, but you pick one movie. I mean, of course, some people's like 2 or 3 going on a binge fest in the weekend. But you pick one movie, and that movie is going to be at least 2 hours long. It's a kid movie, maybe an hour and a half. Sometimes if it was exciting, it's like a 3-hour movie. The point is this. You'll almost not remember any of those movies that you saw in Blockbuster when you were just scoping out what you're going to rent. But you spent time on potentially 100 covers, 100 different movies, maybe 20 to 30 different descriptions, but you'll remember the movie you watched. And what's interesting is if you rent 2 or 3, you'll remember the 2 or 3, or if you rent the whole trio, then you're going to really remember that. And that is the difference between YouTube and TikTok. And that's why I think about these people. It makes sense to upload it on YouTube because you want to be in their house. You want to be in their living room on that device that's hanging on the wall, which is called the television, which now we call YouTube. So and that's why I was joking about it. There's going to be so many more stories about people using YouTube as a place to launch. I'm just waiting for one of the studios or a Netflix. Netflix, can you imagine when Netflix does it? Probably never. But one of the studios like, you know what? We should just upload this and just see what happens. It's a great marketing like
it totally
tactic,
is.
I think. It's like the orange square.
You know what's funny is I'm trying to remember. I was looking now. I don't know if I have it here, but I know that there is a studio that has released some old films on YouTube, feature length. I think it might be Universal. They have some things on there. And I think that they're kind of doing it and they're treating it like TV, right? Because in the old days, what you'd do is you'd have a limited window for a release in theaters, get as many people to buy a ticket as possible because you're going to make a lot of money at the box office. Then you have a window, if you remember this, there would be a long time before you could see the movie on VHS or DVD or whatever it was out in the kind of rental space. And then I think beyond that, or maybe it was even before that, you had to purchase it and then you could rent it. And then it would kind of go all the way down. And eventually, in like 5 years, it might end up on, I don't know, Channel 5, for example, or Channel 13 or something like that, just randomly programmed as a movie that you could watch as like a TV movie during the day. And I think that maybe Universal's treating YouTube that way. I don't think that it's like an exact one-for-one replication, but I think some studios are actually testing that out.
I wish I could find out more information about how YouTube licenses movies because I see them more and more now, the rental and buying a movie function on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
And now that the TV's in play, I'd be like really pushing that because the only reason I would leave YouTube is I want to watch a proper show and movie, which is ironic. I just said we're going to watch all this stuff on YouTube, but still, I'm going to Amazon Prime or Netflix. But if that content was on YouTube, I wouldn't leave, especially if I didn't have to pay a lot of money. You know, even like paying like an even more premium price for YouTube Premium that gives you that offering, something to consider. Maybe what's going to happen first before a full-length movie is a special show will upload to YouTube. You know, like a Yellowstone on, what was that? Well, that was MTV. I forgot what it was, but yeah.
Yeah, and you know, I think one of the reasons I bring it up too, right? I know you joke about it being on the show a bunch, but it is something that's popular amongst creators, right? Creators look at this as something that's aspirational, right? So it makes a lot of sense. And I think the message, first of all, the people who are running Creator Camp are doing a great job with their online marketing. Of course, they're all creators, right? They know what they're doing when it comes to online marketing. But more importantly, their message is resonating with creators in the sense that they're saying, we're not a big studio, right? We're not the old gatekeepers. There's a new generation, right? That's kind of the framing. Even with this announcement that they're going to a new set of, I think, 20-some theaters, right? They're like, the old gatekeepers are dying. The same thing that we repeat on this show over and over again, right? And so we are the next generation breaking through those gatekeepers. And the question is, well, is there actually another gatekeeper? If the old gatekeepers are gone, who is the new gatekeeper? And in my opinion, that is the algorithm. So this week, Jack Conte of Patreon is he's the CEO of Patreon, and he has gone on a press tour talking about something that he at Patreon is doing. Now, I sent you a video and a post that he posted on Instagram. I'm curious about quickly if you immediately have some reactions to that. Or can you walk me through what you saw as you watched those?
You want me to describe it to you? What
just
it
describe
is?
it to me.
Yeah, so Jack Conte, the founder of Patreon, the platform that supports creators or anyone that wants to monetize through their audience by getting audience financial support, right? It was the original memberships on YouTube, but outside. And anyone can sign up. I personally have not used it. I'm not a big fan of it for different reasons, but still, he was a founder of that. He wants to create a social media platform of sorts, or maybe a media platform in general, where the algorithm doesn't lead what you see, because he feels the algorithm on most other platforms just basically ends up being slop or
Kind of brain
mindless,
rot. Yeah.
mindless scrolling, brain rot, and he wants something that's more valuable because he said it doesn't incentivize art. That was what I took away from it.
Interesting.
And so, very idealistic goal, and there's been different iterations of this. It's not the first time someone's done something like that. But my first gut reaction was his whole complaining of the algorithm forgets the whole point that the algorithm is an audience-based result. So it just shows you. I mean, it's inevitable that we got to this point because we're voting with our time on the, and what he's saying is I don't think that's good enough for you. So to me it's kind of like a pretentious to be like there's other stuff that's way better. It's very much the art gallery type of thought, right? This is the cool art out there and this is what you should see. Now that's how art starts. That's how artists get their start. But that's what YouTube's the ultimate platform of it, good or bad. But that's your perspective. Because if people are watching, then people want that. It's not like someone's forcing them to. And so my first thoughts about this platform that's not only going to be less influenced by the algorithm, but there's going to be what he call it, curators, right? Like people that kind of pick what is this thing that I think I want to elevate or I want to highlight. And then he said that it's going to have a little bit more of a, I don't know, like small artist support kind of concept. And the first two things is gatekeeper. Yeah. And Cool Kids Club. Gatekeeper, because that's what made YouTube awesome. It wasn't about gatekeeping. TV is the ultimate gatekeeper. Movies, huge gatekeepers. You had to go through these studios. You had to, apply for the role and do all that and work as a team. Of course, great content. But how many people should have just started their own show, but it just never got legs? The whole pilot concept. Well, that's what made YouTube great. You could just upload whatever, even if it was crappy. That's what's funny. My vlogs just wouldn't work in that type of world, potentially, because there's people judging it versus the audience getting to judge it. Okay, so having this group of curators. And the second thing is a Cool Kids Club. You know what happens with gatekeepers? You want to get buddy with them.
That's true.
And then once you get buddy with them, other people figure out, oh, let's get buddy with those people, getting buddy with them, right? Oh, you got your show on? How'd you get a show? You won't believe it. I took this guy out to dinner and now he's just putting my show on all the time. Human nature. And then you got the Cool Kids Club. You know where I experienced this? Was actually on YouTube. In the early days of YouTube, there was these cool creators that were part of this little clique of people in LA. And if you were in that world, guess what? The people at YouTube also go, oh, these are the people we want to work with. Now, it's not like they went out of their way to say, hey, these are the cool people and that's why we want to work. You could just tell because it wasn't based off of merit. It wasn't based off of performance, like views or subscribers.
It was who you were connected with.
It was who you were connected with.
Yeah.
Because you get these people that'd be guests at different events on behalf of YouTube, or YouTube would fly them out to this thing. And for me, as harsh as it is, because good or bad, right? Because if I'm performing well, then I might get opportunities. If I'm not performing well, I won't. And that's what I saw. There were certain people that were always being put on, regardless if there's this person in Timbuktu getting tons of views. So as much as Jack has this idealistic idea of what a platform should be, that's where it starts being pretentious. For me, I think gatekeepers, Cool Kids Club, and I like getting rid of that. I like getting rid of that because think about it. Since day one, when you're younger at school, if you're not part of that Cool Kids Club, it sucks. Yeah. You don't want to be. Now, I'm not saying that as somebody's like, oh, I want to be cool, or that those cool kids were bad. It's just then you have to do things that have nothing to do with creativity. Yeah, that's true. It's all about just acting a certain way, pleasing a certain person.
Doing what's trendy.
Exactly, right? And I'm the opposite of that. And we talk about how we're like the pirates, right? In the creative world. Yeah. We want to go a little more rogue. Really, we just want to do what we want to do. And that's what makes YouTube amazing. And, I'll pay attention to it. But what makes YouTube bad in terms of the slop is funny. Guess what? That's part of it. It's like freedom of speech. You know, get the crappy, shitty stuff, and you also get the amazing, inspiring stuff, and you get everything in between, and let the audience choose. But you know what's funny? You don't have to do that choosing for them, because ultimately, guess what happens? People end the brain rot, kind of like mindless scrolling, and they go seek out something better. It just happens. Like, we feel it in our bodies. So, you know, I take it with a grain of salt, because I've seen so many platforms come and go. But yeah, it looks like it's going to cost a lot of money too.
Yeah, I mean, just to add a little color too, the first place that I saw this was on Instagram. I saw Jack Conte posting about it on Instagram. He had mentioned that he had an op-ed in the New York Times. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting, sort of random, right? And it was about the algorithm, which I know that he's kind of constantly on about, right? And your point is that, you know, his big focus here is on what Patreon is doing, which is basically adding their own algorithm that is maybe tuned for a different set of variables, which he talks about through the entirety of this, you know, I think 5 to 7 minute video, basically. That's an op-ed for the New York Times. And I agree with you. The big takeaway is that he's sort of dissatisfied with the algorithm to some degree. He thinks that, hey, this thing is, like you said, he's sort of saying this is producing slop. It's encouraging things that aren't artistic in his eyes, right? And to him, it's something that's sort of a negative, that we have to build these things for algorithms. Now, I think he's right about a couple of things, right? Which is that, like, well, some of these algorithms are really not ultimately built for the audience's best interest in
heart. Yeah, he led the whole promotion with all the worst stuff on social media. I remember seeing that video and thinking, oh, violence in the Middle East, and then, you know, kids pranking people on the street, and then some, like, you know, like arguing and fighting going on. I was like, okay, yeah, well, if you look at the eyes, and you know what my first thought was, I wonder what he's choosing to watch and why he thinks that.
To me, it's more so the structural piece, right? That he's like, oh, these short form things, like, what are you know, you're not really getting anything out of it. It's not very artistic. First of all, I actually have seen some pretty artistic stuff on short form. But second of all, it is almost more of a structural problem than kind of those examples would lead you to believe, because those are very emotional things that kind of evoke those things to some degree, right? Now, I kind of agree with him in one sense, which is that the algorithms do let certain things through and they don't let other things through, which is why I frame algorithms as kind of the new gatekeeper, right? But I ultimately, it's funny, you and I didn't talk about this beforehand. I just said, hey, watch this video, check this thing out. I landed in the exact same place as you, which is that this is what the audiences are voting for when they go to these platforms. Now, yes, YouTube does need to show it to a certain group of people. And yes, there are certain hurdles, you could call them, that you need to get over before they watch the video at all, right? Having a title and thumbnail on YouTube is one of those, right? But it is kind of an even playing ground overall on YouTube when it comes to that, right? It is a removal of the traditional kind of gatekeeper, which was a human that had a very specific kind of taste that you're talking about here, like those curators, basically, for something that's more algorithmic, that's goal is to speak to the audience more. To me, I think a lot of creators who are frustrated with the algorithm are actually misplacing their frustration to some degree, right? It's probably true that algorithms change and that they can favor you at certain times, or that they don't. Maybe the algorithm's not changing, by the way. Maybe the audience is changing, or maybe you're changing, which is something that people don't tend to factor in. But regardless of any of that, right, one of the things that I think of that I was actually sort of thinking about after I was listening to the Vergecast, they talk a lot about the creator economy on there, was that it is possible that the actual frustration that a lot of these people are feeling is with the economics of the platforms. Now, in short form, it's the most extreme version of it, because almost nobody's making money directly on these short form platforms. They're making them in their own business, doing brand deals with outside, I guess technically third parties. They're kind of fourth parties in this scenario, right? And so that is just a grind and a frustration. If you're not getting the views, then you can't get the brand deals, and then it's just like a total collapse. And you can see why people would be frustrated. It's kind of a rat race, so to speak. We know creators that have to post half a dozen times a day, basically. In fact, the common thing is you have to post multiple times a day on those things. How are you going to spend the time to craft a story or to do something like animation or something like that if that's what it takes to be successful on those platforms? That's the big question that I think Jack is addressing here, right? On the flip side, YouTube does a much better job of that. They have AdSense. They have something that allows you to make money directly off of the success of your videos. And I think that because of that, you do see generally more quote unquote artistic things on YouTube. There's at least a broader set of things that are capable, are possible on there, because guess what? When you make a video that's successful, you make money off of it pretty much off the get-go, right? Not immediately, but pretty much. And so to me, the economics of the platform are the thing that underlies that creativity that he does not address in this video. He's sort of talking about how you pay. Of course, he's Patreon, so there's a level of patronage that is happening there. But he's sort of blaming it all on the algorithm, when to me, you should be blaming it on how the money is being shared in these spaces, right? Which of course opens up this whole other question of like, is YouTube sharing enough? What's the future of brand deals on these platforms and things like that? But I quickly want to give you a chance to talk about it, because I know that kind of economics of these platforms is something you've experienced for almost 20 years at this point.
Yeah, my complaints or my perspective on what he's doing and kind of the negatives of it brought up like, what is the solution to the original problem? What you just said, creators want to make more money. That's why he's here. Patreon, it give them an alternative way to monetize, one that you would say is more directly related to the audience. That's why AdSense is the ultimate version of that. It's just maybe not as much as you would want, right? Because you have to split a certain percentage and you want more, which, by the way, is part of the problem. I thought the solution is the creator. The creator needs to have a different perspective. You know what happens? I'll give you 3 examples of what's happening here. Number one, you get a short form creator that's going viral and doing amazing things and getting tons of views. And then they get brand deals. And those brand deals is because of the amount of followers and the amount of reach that they have and impact, right? Maybe they are selling like 1,000 of something when they post something. And then the algorithm changes and they don't get that many views. And then the brands pay them a little less or start negotiating, or they're not trying to work with them. And then the creator's like, oh my gosh, I'm being throttled down by the algorithm, right? TikTok's not giving me the kind of views I used to get. Okay, what's happening? Another example, a creator is blowing up on YouTube. The videos are going from 100,000 views to 500,000 views to 1 million views. And it's crazy. They upload like once every 2 weeks and they just complete bangers. Year down the road, the views aren't there. Something must be wrong. I'm getting comments saying, hey, I'm subscribed to you, but for some reason I'm not getting your videos. Okay. And they start complaining about the algorithm. And what they don't know is that, guess what? Because they went viral, other creators like, oh, I want to do that.
Oh, interesting.
They're being inspired, more competition, more options. That creator is living so much in his own little bubble of a perspective. He doesn't see like, there's actually better versions of what I'm doing. Okay. Another creator. Okay. Something's trendy. And guess what? You just hit the timing just right. And you're the go-to person until it's not trendy anymore. Yeah. But you thought that this would last forever. You've never done this. You've never seen that. The arc, it's not even an arc. It's this. Goes up and down, and down. Sometimes it's down for a while. Sometimes it's up for a while. It's unpredictable, okay? And the trend is a trend because it's just here and then it's not here anymore. That's the way it is. But for whatever reason, you felt like this would go on for the rest of the time. So then when it's not hitting anymore and you're not getting as many people paying attention to you, oh, it's the algorithm's fault. So Jack, in a way, is saying, oh, yeah, it's not your fault. It's these algorithms. It's these platforms. They just want to put out the slop when actually maybe they found something better. In a lot of ways, they do find something better. That's the nature of capitalism and competition and just letting everyone have their chance at bat, right? Yeah. So the solution is a creator. Have a different kind of perspective. Realize being more introspective and be like, what am I doing right when I was doing things, well, and I was getting a lot of views? And then when I'm not getting views, what am I doing wrong, right? Or what can I improve? It's always an improvement game. So, and it's not just on the views and video performance and growth side. It's also the monetization side. Sometimes you're not monetizing the same way because of something you're doing. Maybe the product you're selling isn't as good, right? Maybe there was some bad reviews on it. Brand deals, right? What does a brand want? They want to sell a product. So maybe they work with you for years. This has happened to us. Yeah. We had brands that would work with us for years and then they wouldn't. If we were a good creator to work with that converted their products still, they would be incentivized to work with us until it's not converting anymore, till they found somebody better. Okay. And so what do you do in that case? Maybe find another brand that you are converting for, or maybe you have to realign your stuff. And then, another thing that happens too, the biggest complainers, I was talking about that cool kids club, those creators that are like part of this circle that get everything, handed to them on a silver platter, red carpet kind of treatment. Man, you do get old on this platform, even if you're young.
Totally.
People like novel. People like new. People like something different. So if you thought you were going to do the same thing, I don't know any creator that has done the same exact thing, that's had an upward trajectory the whole way. I know creators that have continued to do the same thing, probably continue to grow their skills and get a little better, but generally speaking, the product that they're putting out in terms of their content is still the same, but not their views. It's gone up in seasons, gone down in seasons. Maybe it went way up and then started slowly going down. And then out of nowhere, they get this hit, right? Maybe the trend comes back. When like fashion comes back?
Totally, yeah.
That happens with content too. So thinking that you're going to go to this platform, this guy's going to create it, and guess what? Things are going to be better. I'm going to make more money. Don't you think the same thing's going to happen there too? Like humans don't change because you're in a different platform. That's like the greatness of America. We know both the strength and the faults of humans and we're just accepting of it, right? So you have to take the good and the bad and that's where YouTube is one. This is where they take the human element out, right, of the thing that makes it democratic and it's merit-based, even if sometimes a slop gets through. But the human element is the creator. That's why creators are the best thing that ever happened to YouTube, because it's like the AdSense gave them enough juice. Be like, oh, I could do this. $100. That was the other thing I was gonna say. The other thing that is the Achilles heel or the biggest weakness of not just creators but humans, they want more. They want more money. Oh, I'm only getting 55%? I
think so, yeah.
Of AdSense. I should be getting 75%. So they go to another platform that pays you a little bit more, right? I've also seen this too, but none of those have lasted. Why? 55-45 is the balance. That is the balance that's been proven. It doesn't matter what you tell me. The thing about Patreon is I've actually never thought Patreon was that good of a platform, even though a lot of people use it. And hey, when I was watching, I was like trying to stop my own judgment of Jack. I was like, dude, this guy's successful. He was a legit creator, artist at the beginning, built up this thing until it wasn't working. Like that's in his story. And then he built up Patreon to do all these kind of things. So credit where credit is deserved. But ultimately, why am I on Team YouTube? It's not just because I'm biased about it. It's because it's stood the test of time. They don't have to do like some crazy marketing thing or even do a video like why YouTube is amazing. YouTube is what it is. And that's how it became the new TV. And you can't deny, have more people made money off of YouTube than off of Patreon?
Absolutely.
My judgment isn't about Jack or Patreon. It's just like, where is the best platform? YouTube is the best platform for a reason. And some of the things that we perceive as it being bad, though, like it doesn't mean they can't fix or improve it. It's part of the process. So again, I'm like heavy about scrutinizing myself and putting the ownership on the creator. That's kind of my thoughts and why I think that there's a lot of variables. You said it right at the very beginning. There's way more variables than the algorithm when it comes to your performance and how much money you make.
And I guess that, the big thing about that underlies all of that is that creators are not just the people doing the creation. They become these small businesses, even if they don't intend it. And I think that maybe is what Jack is getting at. And the funny thing is that, even if you go the direction that Patreon is, where, maybe there's a direct patronage model and you're kind of focused more on a specific kind of media to some degree, maybe you could call it more artsy, maybe if you want to call it that. I don't even necessarily know that I would agree with using that term. Ultimately, you're still a business, right? And so what happens, let's say that becomes more profitable. Well, what's going to happen there? The competition will show up there on Patreon, right? And probably the same thing will happen, right? And I think the interesting thing is that there's a bunch of different ways to compete, right? One of them is pure volume. That's what people are doing on TikTok, right? It's like, I'm competing just sheerly by throwing everything that I have against the wall and seeing what sticks, right? Another way to do it is with a clever idea that you repeat. We talked about that with Subway Takes. Unique concept with a charismatic host, with a very simple, identifiable format, basically set dressing and good production. That's one way to be successful. Whatever your edge is, whatever it is sort of unique to you, your skill sets, your perspective, whatever it is that you have that you lean into, that becomes your opportunity for success, which is, by the way, true of all business and just in general in capitalism, right? But I think that that's the thing that Jack isn't getting at, which is that ultimately at the end of the day, because art takes place in the context of capitalism in our current world in 2025, right? There will always be a business element to art, even if you don't necessarily know it. Even in the places where you have someone who is a pure artist, they often are embedded in a much bigger structure, a label if they're a musician, a studio if they're a movie maker. I could go on and on, a publisher if they're an author, right? That is the business side of things. And they do probably more than a lot of the artists understand. Still, without the artist, the rest of the people don't make any money at the end of the day, which is why it's so easy to side with artists in this scenario. But you have to give credit to the people who are also doing the things like marketing it, getting it out, distributing it, showing people your thing. In the case of YouTube, hosting the videos, right? I mean, without YouTube, where would you be posting your videos at this point, right? Those things are often forgotten and taken for granted to some degree. And I'm not saying that the platforms are doing exactly the right things, but there are things that are easy to miss because we take them for granted when they are technology, right? So I want to pivot here for a second, talk about brand deals and the creator economy in a bigger sense, because there is some new reporting. We're at the end of the year now. We kind of get to look back on 2025 and see some of the big things that have changed as far as platforms go. And in particular, what's going on with brand deals overall. So this is Kayla Cobb from The Wrap. There was an article that was posted, I think last week, that talks about ad spend in the creator economy in 2025. And the fact that it has hit $37 billion in 2025. So
on AdSense or just in general?
The entire size of the creator economy, $37 billion. Wow. That is a 25%, actually 26% year over year increase. And that is 4 times faster than the growth of the entire media industry. So the creator economy is leading the entire media industry, which, by the way, is growing at like 6% a year versus 26% a year. And it shows you just how much money is flooding into the online space. And so the questions are, well, where's that money coming from? Who's losing out, right? Who's winning in this scenario? But I actually thought we might play a little bit of a game. Are you down for that? Okay. So the first one that I want to play is talking about what brands are looking for when they are doing things with the creator. So let's focus in not about AdSense, not about anything else, not about patronage, but about brand deals in particular. So the first thing is that brands are now more and more saying that the top 3 things that they're doing are all online. I think search ads, platform ads, and then brand deals with creators. Those are like the top 3 must-do marketing campaigns now in these marketing firms that are doing these things. And so the question becomes, and here's the game, can you guess the top 4 goals that brands have when they partner with creators? What are they trying to actually do for the brand?
Where are you getting this information?
This is from Kayla Cobb at The Wrap. This is a study that they did, basically asking brands what they want out of their relationship with creators.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I love this game, actually. So
I know, like, it's totally wide open, but I think you'll
yeah,
nail
totally
a
wide
couple of
open.
these.
But I'll still give you my perspective of what brands look for when they're working with a creator.
Yes.
This is not in any order. This is just right off the top of my head. Number 1, video or content performance. Does the content actually get views? Does it have engagement? Is it something that people want to consume? This is why personally more and more I think they're going to start wanting to know what the AVD is, okay? If you don't know what that means, it's average view duration. So on a TikTok, the average view duration, even if that video has 10 million views, might only be like 20 seconds versus if you watch one of my vlogs, I just had a vlog hit 1 out of 10 on YouTube, #1 performing and well. 14 and a half minutes.
Wow,
Okay.
really?
But still, video performance, content performance, period. Okay.
You hit that one. That's number 2, by the way. 41% of brands say that their goal is basically video performance. I'm going to give you it here. The answer that they have was reaching new audiences. So you nailed that one. Did it actually travel?
2, who is the audience? Is the audience the customers they want to reach, whether it's your service, product, or just, brand awareness? Is there alignment with the people that are following these creators or watching their content with who you want to? That alignment, to me, it's just like business 101, because if you're sponsoring someone's content but literally it doesn't reach anybody that would actually be interested in your brand or buy your product, then what is the point? Then you're just like, it's just like for glory, right? And horrible glory. So that would be the second one. Is that on the list?
Neutrally, we're going to need some sound effects when we do this in the future because Benji's nailing these. So ding, 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 ding. That's number 3, enhancing a brand's reputation or trust in the brand.
Neutrally's old one. Okay.
35% of brands say that they want to increase the trust and reputation within an audience. By the way, bonus points for that one, because the number 2 top criteria that brands use when choosing to partner with a creator are creator reputation, 60% say that, and audience alignment, 56%. You nailed it. Can you guess number 1 and number 4?
Number 1 and number 4. That's interesting. That's like clues, by the way. That is huge clues. Then I'd say it would be about the content format itself. Is it on a platform? Is it the type of format that they're looking for? Because not everybody wants a YouTube long form video. Not everybody wants a vlog. They might be looking for short form, or specifically TikTok. And so that's all. And I know this because, of course, we assume you want to work with my wife and I, who have been vlogging on YouTube forever, because you want long form. But how many times they've reached out to us like, do you have a TikTok? Right? We want to do a Reels. We've been game for a short form as long as it's on Reels on Facebook, but we don't take TikTok. So we've lost out on opportunities. We might actually have those first 2, dope content, right, that perform. 2, audience alignment, but we're not on the platform or creating the format. So that would be another one for me.
I'm going to give it to you. This one I thought was kind of weird because it feels like the same as number 2. The answer was building brand awareness as the top campaign goal. That's 43%. So that was number 1. I'm going to give it to you because, to me, what they're sort of saying there is they're just looking for reach, simply for reach. So they want to make sure that their things are seen. So to your point about short form, right? Short form is the quintessential version of that. You could get 1,000 creators creating for very cheaply, just sort of
that one's a weird one, because that one's more like, what's their goal for it, right? Versus choosing. How do they choose? I feel like I should get credit for that.
Definitely. And again, it's funny because I think that choosing and having their goals are pretty deeply intertwined. The criteria for partnerships are the ones that I talked about with creator reputation and audience alignment. I actually am looking for the 4th brand goal. So just again, to reiterate, you talked about format, building brand awareness, reaching new audiences, enhancing a brand's reputation or trust in the brand. What's number 4 in terms of goals that brands are trying to do? This one's actually, I think, the most straightforward.
Oh yeah. Sell.
That's it. 32% say that they're trying to
drive online
sales.
That's the only one that does matter, in my opinion. And this is the reason why. Because it means small creators can get brand deals.
I totally agree, because the ones that are smaller are more likely to be targeted and aligned with their audience.
And not necessarily the case, because if you have 10 million followers, you could easily sell more than somebody with 1,000 followers, for sure, as long as there's enough alignment. But the thing about the 1,000 followers, right? Maybe you're super niche. Maybe you're super specialized. So pound for pound, you might cost less to the brand, but for you, it's a big payday. And that's why brand deals from the beginning of time were amazing. You know where you saw this the most was at the very beginning.
Interesting.
The brand deals, the way it worked, and we're talking 2008. We're going to go way back, okay? There was a guy, I know his name too. I'm not going to say his name because it didn't end well. But there was a young guy that worked for a big beauty brand, and he noticed all these beauty enthusiasts. We call them beauty gurus, but they call themselves beauty enthusiasts, okay? Doing these free beauty product reviews or makeup tutorials or hairdo videos, and thought, their audience is really engaged. The comments are from people that look like they're customers. Why don't we, in addition to sending them product, because in the beginning you just sent the product out, it was PR companies or people that worked at the company like, hey, they'll just send it. I mean, they're doing a free video anyways. This guy was like, no, let's do a brand deal so they can sell on our behalf. It's crazy to think about this one person. He's kind of started the whole thing, and he would reach out and do brand deals. And that's where my first brand deal for Judy was like $150 or something like that, right? And why? He wasn't even the boss at this company. He was just like on the sales team. Because when they would do a brand deal, it would convert better than anything else they would do. Better than the ads that they were running. Better than maybe, they were at the industry shows. Industry shows meaning like back then there was like IMATS, International Makeup Artist Trade Show. Literally, okay? It's a trade show. That's where you go to talk to other makeup artists and try to get your products to be in their arsenal of makeup or whatever. Wow. But then you got this girl in northern Seattle just doing ghetto videos compared to what you would assume a professional makeup artist is doing, selling way more, and then bam, you're off to the races. So I talk about $150. Oh my Lord. They sold so many units with that $150. So then word gets out. It's like, wow, when you work with these creators, not just send them stuff, but actually pay them, they might talk about more points than they would on their own. They might actually do a call to action. Oh, they'll put a direct link. Oh, and we'll do like a little discount offer that will incentivize clicking through, even if you're not like really in the market for it, because this creator is talking about it and it's like 30% off, right? It's about Black Friday's coming up right now. We all know how good sales work.
Exactly.
And then that was it. So when we talk about what are the top 4 goals or things that brands are looking for, that's always been the case. That's why when I start seeing brands start leaning more towards brand awareness and just freaking spending stupid money, that's when you have to be like, okay, how long is this party going to last?
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of my big takeaway. This is all kind of a conceit to get us to this point, which is that it was crazy to me to see that number one, 43% was brand awareness.
And that 4 was like the most important thing,
which is actually selling a product. I mean, to me, you'd think that the priorities are completely backwards if that was the
Welcome
case.
to marketing.
Well, the amazing thing is that explains what is going on inside of the creator economy right now to me, right? If the number one thing that brands say that they want is awareness, well, geez, it's just pay to play. You get as many creators for as cheap as you can with just the right sort of ROI in terms of like reach. And guess what? You're going to get reach, right?
I can tell you exactly why.
Yeah, tell me. I'm curious.
So you're not the final destination. Why reach is so important. This is why getting views is important to brand deals, because you're just the beginning of the selling process. What do they do afterwards? First off, if you do a call to action to their website, you might get onto their email list and they might just start spamming you there. Boom, starting the process. 2, maybe you click on their link and they've got some, I forget all these terms, but some tracker to track you, okay? Running ads to you, right? Following you. 3rd, maybe you don't even click through. Maybe you don't give them the email. Maybe you don't sign up for anything. You don't get tracked or whatever. But they start building the audience like makeup. And what's crazy is, say some creator who gets 1 million views, but you only care about 5,000 of those people watching. You just run some ads and you just are hoping that those ads target those people, which, by the way, you can. You can pick. This is a crazy thing that people don't know about ads, how targeted you can be. So let's just take my YouTube channel, for example. I have a brand deal that I'm doing right now, and I'm going to get a whole bunch of views. Definitely not going to sell to all those people getting those views. But then the brand will run ads specifically to people that follow my channel, my subscribers, or not even that, people that watch my content. Because if you look at my analytics, 50% easily is not subscribed to me. Okay. That's very normal. Even if I tell them all to subscribe, they just never will, because the behavior of watching content now is like, you don't care as much about the creator as you do whatever the topic they're covering. So then you run the ads and you just follow them. And so you initially you're like, oh, I love that thing that Benji talked about, but it's just not the right time. That's how it is with almost everything. Until maybe a few months down the road,
Yeah, Black Friday comes along. There's a 30%
ad's still running.
sale.
It's like, I remember,
Yeah.
I need this thing, and Benji was talking about, oh, here it is. Boom, they get the sale. So it's part of a bigger plan. See, before, the brand deals were actually creating sales.
Yeah.
Until it wasn't, because guess what happened? It got so competitive. There's so many brand deals out there. So then the strategy got more comprehensive, and it was a little bit more long term. So that's exactly. But the thing about the creators is, this is why short form brand deals was the killer of all this.
Yeah.
Because when you swipe through the ad, you don't even see the product or the brand. This is why long form is going to win the brand deals war, because guess what? At one point, you're in the department of working with creators and doing the brand deals with them and getting that first touch of the funnel, we call it. But then for some reason, we're not getting sales. So then when you're assessing the whole strategy, like, what the hell are you guys doing? Like, whatever you're doing, it's like, oh no, look, we got 100 million impressions or whatever. It's like, but we got no sales. So that might not happen in one day. It'll happen maybe sometimes in years when it's not working. So guess what? They fire everybody. They get a new agency.
But you just described to me a whole sophisticated approach to building that brand awareness. Like if you're somebody's getting a view on, let's say, a piece of short form content where, I don't know, there's some brand A, right, is investing in this creator. They're getting a view there. Aren't they still getting all of that tracking information? Can't they still follow them around and still advertise to those people because it's being shown to them, even if they're not watching the whole advertisement on short form?
Yes, but would we just say the whole point of doing a brand deal, ultimately, even if it's not done in that moment, is sell? And they say it takes 7 touches before you sell something. So as a salesperson, if you're ever getting trained on selling, they say you have to connect with that person 7 times before you get the sell. So in real estate, for example, that might be a mailer. Back in the day, we used to send little pieces of paper, and I did this in the mail to like a group. You can pick up area code and it gets in their mail, and they might see it, but almost never won't do anything. And then next, guess what you do? You go knocking on the door of that neighborhood that you're sending those mailers to, and then you meet them, and then you get to kind of like pick their brain or whatever. They still might not, but didn't you send that mailer or whatever? It's like, okay, cool, yeah, get to know you. Then you might see them at an event, and they're like, hey, Benji, it was great to see you the other day. Thank you so much for coming by. Sorry, I wasn't, in the right time, but I got a question about, how much is my house? I was oh, why are you asking me? Blah, blah, blah. You keep doing that to the 7th time. Guess what? If you hit up somebody 7 times, you're more likely to get the sell, right? Or get a customer versus a person, guess what? That mailer never even reached you. The mailer just got through out with all this stuff. That's what some brand deals are, especially on short form. So yes, you're right. You can still target them, but the whole point was to make that touch, to be introduced to the product. But if you don't know what the product was, yeah, you can run the ads, but you're starting from touch number 1 and that ad. Does that make sense? And guess what? Part of the power of sponsoring through a creator was you're vouching for that brand. So our whole MO, Judy and I, is we have to vouch for you. We have to believe in your product, or else we're not going to do it, because we thought that was the whole point in the beginning. So then now when you got creators, I can see it on their face. I can see it in your freaking eyes when you're doing a brand deal and it is just a payday and you don't give a shit about the brand, okay? And that's funny. I actually sit and watch your brand deals because I care. Okay.
Yeah.
These are creators that I am connected with and creators I don't care about. I want to know. And how fake are you or how believable are you?
Yeah.
See, the thing is,
Like,
me,
what's the craft behind
I'm not
it?
going to judge if you're super believable, but like, is it just for the payday? Because if it's believable, it's good, right? It's great content for the brand, and you might watch it as one of the viewers and think, maybe I should buy it. Or when they run an ad 2 months later, you'll convert. But if I see complete fakeness in your eye and you're like not there, and I've seen this, not believable. And what's nuts is some of the best creators I know have this look. They just go there, and I know what they're doing. They're waiting till the last minute. They read the script like an hour before, if they even read the script, if there is a script. I'm not saying you should be scripted for brand deals, but they almost look scripted, and it doesn't look anything like their normal content. To do a good brand deal, it should almost not seem like a brand deal. It should just be like a normal day. That's why lifestyle vloggers like my wife and I are kind of natural at doing product integrations because we're already talking about products anyways. So we try to match the tone, match the content integration, and deliver. Why am I going on this rant? I don't even really remember the original question.
Well, you're also doing things like matching authenticity, right? And so for the brand, right, if they're trying to drive sales, that's what your point is that if it is like the rest of your content, your audience, the thing that you have done is actually you've done the touch points ahead of time, by the way. You've talked to them, you've built up this trust with them, and then just so happens there's a subset of them that are looking for a brand new toaster on a given Tuesday, right? And you post that toaster and they're like, I've been waiting for this the whole time. I trust Benji's opinion. He's always 100% honest with me. He's always 100% real. I'm going to buy the one that he recommended. A, because I like him. I want to support him. But B, more so, it sounds like this thing's actually a really good product and I want to do it. And so to your point, the original question is, for me, I'm wondering, do you think that brands have it backwards? Is it wrong for them to think about it in terms of awareness versus sales? And or should they be focused on the sales and just be trusting that awareness is coming with that?
Want to know why I asked you where this publication came from?
Yeah, I'm curious.
Because it's different for different brands.
Totally.
Who did they pull? So more and more, I'm talking to brands that are like, yeah, sales matter the most to us. Straight up. And I remember talking to a brand, big brand. We're talking global brand. And I said, yeah, how many are you guys thinking about selling? And they didn't answer. They said, well, how many do you think you could sell? I was like, at least 100 units. I was like, if you don't sell 100 units, what's the point, right? And they're like, really? That would be like our best like sell ever. I'm like, oh, I better sell 100 units. But again, I come from a sales mentality, not because I want to always be selling, but that's the whole freaking point. So brands are starting to prioritize that. But this is why I said it's the dirty little secret of marketing. Once you get into that world, money's just kind of thrown into the abyss. I want to watch this, but I feel like this kind of explains it. Mad Men, the show Mad Men, and there's this famous guy there. I forgot his name, but he's like the head guy and kind of super masculine, maybe like toxic masculinity in terms of, he's like the head honcho boss guy, drinks all day, smokes, just kind of making decisions, gatekeeper for sure. But he understands like how marketing works and what's important. But once you get to that point, now he becomes like the celebrity. He becomes like this man, and it's not like a effective machine. That's just wow. So I'm not against marketing. I mean, I've made a living because of marketing. It's just sometimes marketing gets so big that it doesn't work the way it does when you're like small and nimble. And I think there's an arc sometimes with some brands. But there are certain brands where, guess what? Awareness is all you need, because guess what? The touch, and this is what's interesting in society that's happening. That final seventh touch was you go to the mall. Okay,
yeah.
You go to the store.
You
don't actually have to go to a physical store. It could be a website, and you choose based off the brand awareness that you have. The greatest example of this is Nike. You go and you don't even question it. If it's got the swoosh on there, and we've done a Nike brand deal, loved it, right? But they didn't even care about putting a link to a specific product. We could choose whatever product because they know when you go to buy a sneaker, if you're thinking Nike or like Nike's more prominent in your life, you're more likely to go to the Nike store or go to Nike.com. And that's where marketing works. And that's the mistake brands make. They think they're a Nike and they can do what Nike can do. But you know how you were saying, I'm already creating the 7 touches, right? Nike's been doing that for 70 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long, although yeah. So different strategies for different brands.
Some real-time follow-up from Doc Rock. First of all, Don Draper is the guy, right?
There you go.
But second of all, he mentions too that as a person who, this is Doc Rock, as a person who pays creators, I can tell you that we don't care about the numbers at scale. We want targeted people who will convert. We don't want all the customers. We want the right customers. Conversion is king. And he also points out that what you're saying is facts. To Benji's point, it's 11 to 13 touch points before you make a sale nowadays.
Totally. I agree. I bet you that number just keeps growing as we have so many things. And actually, I think that's partly accurate. I still think it's 7. But the reason they say 11, 13, they're counting that swipe through. They're counting it's in front of them. But guess what?
Did they really watch?
Did they really watch?
Yeah.
So that's what's upping the number.
I know.
You need more and more of those. But for me, I'm like, dude, it actually probably only takes 2 or 3 if you do it effectively. And that's what makes brand deals with a good long form creator different. Because, you know, one of my last brand deals, guess what? The brand shows up multiple times in my content. Remember what I said about AVD? My AVD on that video was like 12 minutes. So throughout that 12 minutes, that product's being introduced organically, authentically, genuinely.
Yes.
And you're more likely to see it. So multiple touches are kind of happening in the same piece of content, but then you're going to retain it. I know this because I've talked to viewers of mine that say, oh yeah, I remember that product you talked about. They remembered the product and the content. How many brand deals on short form do you don't even know exist?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, the crazy thing to me is exactly what you're saying, which is that, you know, again, the takeaway for creators in my mind, the top criteria, again, with partnering are creator reputation, which just is you being out there building your audience, right? And secondarily, audience alignment, right? Which is exactly what you're talking about. There's this really famous quote in the marketing world, which is, half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. I think that's John Wanamaker. You as a creator should be always working to be on the right half of the money that people are spending. And to your point about marketing, I mean, it is kind of a crapshoot. It's a hard job to be a marketer, right? You don't necessarily know who you're trying to reach. That said, you and I believe that there are ways to be smart about it, right? And as a creator, you can make those marketers' lives more easy, even more easy than they think is possible, by doing the things that are right, by being consistent, by being aligned with your audience's interests, which will make you align with the brand's interests when it comes time for them to sell, which they say is their 4th priority, but we think should be their 1st priority. Any final words on this topic?
Nope.
Let's go and move on to a broader sense of what's happening in the creator economy. There was, Pew Research, which is kind of the preeminent statistics research firm in the US. They yearly do a research topic about how Americans use social media. They've been doing this for, I think, the last 10, 15 years.
Pew Research?
PEW, Pew, yeah. They just released their report for 2025, and it's kind of what you'd expect. And so I just want to go down and hit a couple of these really quick, and then maybe you can play another game today if you're down for a second game.
I got 4 out of 4.
You got 4 out of 4. I mean, it's
pretty good.
I mean, come on, guys. Again, we need a live studio audience. The first thing is just generally what U.S. adults are actually using overall. Now, there are 3 that say there are 3 platforms that U.S. adults say they ever use more than half the time, which is number 1, YouTube, 84%. Number 2, Facebook, 71%, which is kind of interesting. Number 3, Instagram, 50%. Those are the top 3. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram are the top 3 for the percent of US adults who say they ever use those platforms. Number 4 is TikTok at 37%, WhatsApp, 32%, Reddit, 26%, Snapchat, 25%, and X all the way at the bottom of the ones that actually matter, 21%. So YouTube, Facebook, Instagram are your kings.
I want to hear the one with the kids.
What do you mean with the kids?
Well, that's for adults, right? What about kids? So like under 18 years old.
Yeah, I can pull that up. They do have some research
really?
about that.
I could tell you what it is and maybe even the order.
Go for it. Give it a shot.
I'm definitely going to say there's going to be a fight for number one, but I'm going to go TikTok, YouTube, and then Instagram.
So I've got, they segmented 18 to 29, so they don't have like true below 18. So I can't give you the entire. But number one, give me the order again.
TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram, but I think YouTube and TikTok could like alternate. But if it's 18 to 21, I'm going to go YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram.
Number one is YouTube. Number two is Instagram. Number three is Snapchat. And number four is TikTok. Isn't that crazy? 18 to 29. So that is that.
Snaps, sending those snaps.
Let's go ahead and play the game, though, if you're down for that. So this one is an interesting one, which is about we just talked about how brands want consistent touch points with the audiences that are reaching. The first thing that a viewer has to do is choose an app to go to on any given day, right? So beyond an individual creator, beyond an ad platform, beyond anything else, which apps are people opening daily? So I'm curious about what you think the number one app that people open daily is in the US.
Number one that is opened daily in the US?
Yeah.
This is a hard one because it's so subjective and opening is different than consuming. Number one that's consumed is, in terms of length, is YouTube.
Yeah, and
for sure. Okay,
and again, this is not about watch
This is from
time.
Pew Research.
This is from Pew Research.
All right.
Chat is open for guesses too, by the way, guys.
Okay, Are we? How many are we doing? 3.
We're doing 4. There's only. Well, I'm not even going to give that to you. Go for it.
Okay. And you want me to do it in order too?
If you, I would love. I'll give you the top. Let's do the top 2 and then the second top 2. So 1 and 2.
Okay, got it. I like that.
4.
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm gonna say Messenger.
Okay.
A messenger of sorts, like a messaging thing. So that could be a Facebook Messenger, a WhatsApp Messenger, gamut. And then the second thing I'm going to say is YouTube. And then the last 2 is definitely going to be Instagram. And then if I had to pick the 4th one, dang.
You know one I'm surprised you haven't said, actually.
Amazon?
Okay, let me.
Email. The email would be the 4th one.
You're right. This is a much harder.
I'm thinking such a millennial right now.
This is a much harder game. Let me give you the 4 platforms. Let me give you the 4 platforms and have you rank them. How's that sound?
Okay, yeah, there you go.
So the 4 platforms, and again, audience, sorry, I did a bad job setting up this game. I'm not used to making game shows. It's the first time we've ever done it on the show, and I've done it twice. I think the first one went okay. The second one, I could use some work. Okay, the 4 platforms are TikTok, X, YouTube, and Facebook.
X?
What are the orders?
Those are social media. I thought you meant all apps on the phone.
Again, this is the American social media use research by Pew. So
okay,
give me the 4.
That's
TikTok, X, YouTube, Facebook. Give me the order of those 4 in terms of the net daily
Are
opens.
these the top 4 though?
I don't know that. I don't think they are the top 4, but they don't necessarily say.
Oh yeah, X is at the bottom for sure.
Okay. You want me to give you a yes or no on all of them, or do you want to rank them first?
I'm gonna rank them.
Okay. I'm writing them down.
Okay. Instagram's not on this. Are they including that in Facebook?
They are not.
Okay, got it. All right.
It must not be the top 4 because I have to imagine that Instagram would be
I'll tell you what it is. It's TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and X.
TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, and X. You have 2 out of 4 correct.
X
is correct at number 4.
Yeah, that's
and
easy.
I'll lock another one for you. I guess this gives it away. What do you think your second one is correct? I'm curious.
Oh, maybe Facebook.
Facebook is not correct, actually.
Facebook is number 2.
Is number 1. Facebook is number one that people open daily. In fact, actually,
This, like-
52% of US adults say they open Facebook daily.
And I'll tell you why, because it's the social side, but it depends on the demographic. The age really matters. Because you
100%.
want to know that I'll tell you, I have a whole group of friends that don't even know Facebook exists. Okay, they thought it turned into Instagram.
So number one is Facebook. Actually, by the way, 37% of American adults say they use it several times a day. YouTube is number two at 48%.
So I got
overall.
that right.
Yes. TikTok is number three at 24%.
Yeah, you have to.
It's all about age.
It's all about age.
And then number four there is X, all the way down at 10%. So that gives you a sense of it. To me, it speaks to the lasting power of Facebook, right? Again, demographically, you're reaching a different group there, right? But B, it also speaks to, again, YouTube and its power overall. To me, you get actually a very wide range of age groups on YouTube. It's the only one of these that I think you get such a wide age range, by the way. And it's up there just behind Facebook, which has all of the staying power of the past. There's some great guesses here in the chat, by the way. YouTube, TV, asking for more game shows and things like that. So that's the state of the creator economy as far as things go. But there's actually something related that happened recently. If you're down to talk about that, I don't know is there any commentary that you have about that the game shows that we just played? Any surprising remarks? To me, it's more the same of what we've expected in the past. YouTube is killing it, basically.
They are the king, and it's not just for one thing. It's because of many things. And the television was kind of like the nail in the coffin for the other apps. And now everyone else has a FOMO, and they're so far ahead, it's not even funny. So when Sean and I wrote YouTube Secrets, we could have never imagined. I really think that I need to do a third edition with him because so much has changed.
Yeah.
But also, one of the reasons we didn't think YouTube Secrets would go on to do so well for such a long time, because things change. We just didn't think the thing that would change that YouTube would be even more significant. We'd watch even more content no matter what age. So think about this. The easiest way to think about it. What is the trend for when you go to a younger demographic on how they pick a social media platform? What is the singular thing?
Distance from the adults.
Distance from the adults, right? That'd be most social. But
Yeah.
in terms of format, it's short form.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. That's
What
very
does
true.
YouTube have? YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
And it's just getting
I don't even
forced.
think it's the shorts though, because I think that a lot of young people are still watching long form videos on YouTube. Honestly, I mean,
they are.
It's just the breadth of
They
content
are,
that YouTube
but
has.
not compared to the percentage of older. And when you go the other direction, it's definitely more longer form content. And YouTube's got longer form and can keep going longer. That's what's crazy. It can just keep going longer. And what's crazy is this. I can say this because I have a family. As a family, what do we all watch together? The television. And we're watching YouTube content more and more. And this is a creator show. This is why I kind of talk about what is important to think about with all these different games or pieces of data. YouTube is a final destination for good reason because it has the most ROI. Everywhere else there's competition, there's a ceiling. We don't even know what YouTube can be, but if you plant your seed there, the tree that can grow from it can just go taller and taller and taller. Versus when I say a ceiling, imagine if there's a legit ceiling, a tree hits that ceiling and it's dead. Imagine just blue skies and the sun shining, and once in a while you get a rain, and then you got a sequoia. If you don't know what a sequoia is, one of the tallest trees in the world. It's in California, and it's as far as the eye can see upwards. That's what YouTube is going through right now. And to me, we just talked about brand deals coming and going to different places based off of different goals, and then even creators. I ranted about the ups and downs. If you want to go to the place that not only is more sustainable, that I think pays the best, generally speaking, but also can have longevity so that as things go up and down and things change, you can still have relevance or at least have the best chance to move and shift within a platform. It's just YouTube. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, and to me, I first of all 100% agree. Second of all, was shocked to see Facebook so high up on all of these still. I really shouldn't be, and part of it is just my age as well. I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook. In fact, a lot of people, I think Salomea first in the chat was talking about marketplace. Carla is talking about the birthday feature on Facebook.
There's two reasons why Facebook keeps being relevant. Number one, people don't want to change their habits. And two, because of that, people are still there. Arguably, I mean, I love Meta because we've worked with them, but it hasn't really changed. That's what's crazy. Part of why you would go to another platform like a TikTok at the extreme is because it's so different and it's better for a certain type of content. But Facebook really as a platform hasn't changed. And some people say it's good or bad. But when it comes to the community town square, or in the case of Marketplace, now they got Marketplace. That's another crazy thing. I actually use Marketplace more than I do anything else. I love the Facebook Marketplace, okay?
Yeah, I use it all the time.
It's just, why would you leave? It's almost kind of like a monopoly on the social side for a certain demographic. And that's why Facebook continues to win. And part of it is like YouTube, they were the first one and it's just easier to stick around, you know? I think that people go through seasons though, for sure on Facebook, but you know, they just keep winning slowly, but surely. But yeah.
Let me actually make the case about, because to me, I bring up Facebook because I want to make the case about the fact that it actually has changed to a degree. And the evidence for that is a big antitrust case that has happened recently between Meta and the FTC.
They won, right?
Meta won big time. In fact, I would almost think it's better to frame it as the FTC losing. They did a horrible job, in my opinion, arguing this case. For those of you who aren't nerds about the ongoing legal
antitrust
cases, antitrust cases in the U.S., don't worry. It's not going to be about this. There's a study within the decision that the judge made that actually we're going to focus on. But just for some context, Meta was being sued by the FTC for buying up Instagram long ago, basically arguing that was a monopolist tactic used to kill competition in the social media space. On Tuesday, there was a federal judge that ruled, this was last week, by the way, that ruled that Meta's acquisitions of Instagram and WhatsApp did not create an illegal monopoly. This is reported by Casey Newton of Platformer. Basically, here's what the judge said. I'm just going to quote from the piece because it's very illuminating. He says, "In the end, it was a simple experiment that undid the FTC's case. To determine whether Meta held a monopoly, Meta hired an expert to pay people to stop using its products." So again, Meta hired someone who then went to go pay people to stop using Facebook or Instagram, basically. And then what they did is they observed where they went instead of using Facebook to go fill the time.
They didn't use anything else?
Well, you'll see. John List, a professor at the University of Chicago, recruited 6,000 participants for the study. With permission, he installed tracking software on their phones, and he made them an offer. For every hour that the participant did not use Facebook or Instagram, he would pay them $4. Here's a crucial caveat. Participants only had to give up Facebook or Instagram, by the way. Most participants were happy to stop using Meta products for a few dollars. Their usage fell by about 2/3. More important, though, is what they did on their phones without Facebook or Instagram. And it wasn't using MeWe. He's making a joke because that was what the FTC was arguing. As a person with a smartphone, you can probably guess where the participants went. Do you want to do another game here? You want to guess where they went to?
Okay.
What was the number one destination that they went to?
So you said they had to give up one or the other, right? Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, actually, you can give me the top three because there's three.
By the way, if they give up Instagram, are they allowed to go to Facebook?
They are.
So wouldn't that be one of the options? They just went to the opposite one?
That is one of the options. Would you like to?
Which one it is? It's the number one.
Okay. What's number two? Lots of games today. This is a pre-Thanksgiving show.
So I would say it would be YouTube and TikTok.
You nailed all three, and you got the order almost right, except for the fact that number one was YouTube. The number one place that people went to after leaving Facebook or Instagram was YouTube.
Wow, that actually blows my mind.
Number two was the opposite platform. So if you canceled Facebook, you had to go to Instagram. If you canceled Instagram, you had to go to Facebook. Number three was TikTok. So those were the top three. Now, this is all in the
crazy.
This is all in the frame of them winning the antitrust case, right? To me, I agree with you. That ordering is the crazy nugget.
This is what's crazy about this. I don't think you had to pay people to go to
Stop
YouTube.
using- Yeah.
No, I'm saying is
they would have gone anyways.
they would have gone anyways. All they were tracking was their normal behavior, because if you tracked a whole nother group, guess what? I bet you they're just watching more and more YouTube. This is what creators are finding out. People are using YouTube no matter what. Meaning, it doesn't matter how cool a creator is or if there's something trendy or whatever. YouTube's just becoming the thing that you turn on in the morning and you just play it.
Totally.
And just let it do its thing. And that was TV in the 90s. I only say because that's when and into the 2000s, you just turn it on in the morning, you leave it on all day. There's so many people can relate to the fact that it was background sound even to a certain degree, and it could have been news, it could have been QVC, whatever it was, and it's just on all day long. You can argue how much connection there is to that if it's just in the background, but for right now, it doesn't matter because the ads just keep playing and you get paid. I'm telling you right now, look at my vlogs. They're all really long for a reason. One, because I can nerd out and people want to listen. But secondly, way more ads are playing.
Yeah.
And I don't control these ads. This is 100% automated. It's AI decided on. So it is enough ads to maximize revenue, but not enough to annoy the audience. At least that's what I think. I want to know, I mean, I should do it in my actual vlog, if people are annoyed with the ads.
There's a second takeaway actually with this too, which is that all of these platforms are competing with each other, which is really the underlying piece of the antitrust case, right? Which is that it's all about a game for attention, right? People
within a small group.
A small group.
To me, like the bigger problem than just one of them. It's that there's really no other options beyond these like 4 or 5.
And to me, the interesting piece about this thing, and the reason I say that Facebook is changing, is because more and more Facebook is really becoming a video platform. So why would you go from Facebook to YouTube? Because it's a video platform, and YouTube has a video thing. Why would you go from Instagram to YouTube? Because it's a video platform. All of these things are just video platforms at this point, right? And so more and more people may, go to the Facebook thing for, Marketplace or for Family Update or something like that. But I bet you, 80% of the time, 70% of the time, they're switching over to that Reels tab or clicking on something that puts them in the Reels tab and they're swiping away.
One of the most underrated strategic moves that was probably not intentional that YouTube did? Chromecast. Casting.
Oh, totally.
Now, casting was put there so that you could take your content on your smart device, right? It could have been a tablet, could have been a phone, and cast it up to the TV or a bigger screen.
Yeah.
So like I often do it to my kitchen display, which is just, it's like you can't see over here. I don't know if neutrally it won't even show, but there's like a little device that's like 9 inches, not a 9-inch screen. Okay. Now, when I say it was unintentional, they just did it because it's convenient. They could have never imagined I'd be casting it onto a TV, and for the next 3 to maybe 10 hours, stuff would just play there. The other apps don't have that. And even if they have that function, they don't have that behavior.
Yeah.
You don't think, I'm just going to cast this Facebook thing up there. So going back to the point of Facebook video, you don't think, I'm going to cast it up to the TV. Same thing with Instagram, partly because of the format, because the vertical, you're like, it doesn't fit up there. Your friend's like, this is dumb. Why do they even suggest this vertical content on a horizontal screen? And then TikTok for sure, because the whole point is just swipe, swipe, swipe. It doesn't make sense on the television because that's not the user's experience on there. So that's what. And that's where YouTube, in a way, it kind of...
They created that habit early.
And they didn't know they were saving themselves. They were saving themselves because I really do believe if it wasn't for the long form, this is the irony of it all, if it wasn't for the long form, YouTube Shorts would not beat out TikTok.
100% agree.
But at the same time, right, YouTube Shorts will continue win because YouTube as a brand is just the thing that you use. Because what do you do when you leave your house, but there's like a juicy documentary, right? Because I know you and I love documentaries that you want to know what the end is of it, or you want to see the whole war through. What do you do when you leave the house?
You pull it up on your phone.
You keep watching it, and
Yeah.
it's so good. It's so good when you open up the YouTube app and you're signed in. It picks up right where you left off better than it goes like 15 seconds back.
Yeah.
Because it knows, hey, you might have missed that 15 seconds because that's when you left the room or whatever. And then you just pick it up. So by default, you have to open up YouTube on your phone just because you're finishing a piece of content that you're listening to at that point. Okay. What do you do after that? Maybe these shorts are like interesting. Boom. You're already on YouTube watching shorts. So, okay, I know that I'm just ranting, but think about that. No other platform has that. So I talked about going from the phone to the TV, casting, but it's in reverse.
Yeah.
Going from the TV back to the phone because it's the thing that follows you all over town.
It's seamless.
And so it's not even about competing when you open up the phone because it's already on there. How many times have I plugged in my phone? My truck's weird. I have to plug in my phone to use the Apple CarPlay. Don't get me started about
I know,
that,
don't
right?
get me started
But
either.
so I plugged the Apple CarPlay and guess what happens? Automatically the YouTube video, if it was playing in my pocket or one before, plays automatically. So then the first entertainment app on Apple CarPlay, it's following you from your pocket to your hand to the TV, from the TV to your hand to your pocket, from your pocket, in this case, plugged into the Apple CarPlay onto your truck or vehicle, and then it just keeps going and going. And that's like where like TikTok's team, it's like, how do we compete with that? It's impossible. It's actually an impossible task to think about even starting that. And that to me is probably the thing that sounds so biased and it's so unbelievable, but it is 100% real.
When we come back from the break, the Thanksgiving break, I want to make the case eventually for you about how they could do. I think I agree with you 100%. It's a huge uphill battle.
Well, then TikTok should hire you.
But I think that there is a pathway. I'll make that case eventually. But if there's one takeaway from everything we've talked about today, it's just how well positioned YouTube is in the media economy. Everywhere, literally competing with movies, TV shows, Netflix, TikTok, Facebook, you name it. YouTube is enemy number one for all these because they are number one overall. And if you're looking to take advantage of this huge opportunity that YouTube is presenting, what we think is the best opportunity in the history of YouTube, you should check out our vlogging course where we talk about what we think is the easiest way to get started on YouTube, which is vlogging using the new vlogging method that Benji created 2 years ago now at this point.
And remember, this new method of vlogging is not just for lifestyle creators, and it's definitely not about vlogging your whole day. Any niche, any genre, any industry, whatever your expertise is, whatever, thing that you're obsessed with can be vlogified. So this is just the easiest way to take advantage of this long form content demand, even the demand of somebody going from the living room to the car, or from the TV to your phone. Vlogging just makes it easier to create a long video to take advantage of that. So it's not what you think. It's not becoming Casey Neistat, even though nothing wrong with that. Casey's still around. He still puts out bangers once in a while. It's about the beginner wanting to do long form and using vlogging to be able to do it easier and take advantage of what I call the new era of YouTube, which is the TV era, which, funny enough, continues to follow you even when you're not in front of the TV. And that is the point of today's podcast. And that's why Vlogging Academy can help you on that journey if you want to be part of someone's whole day, not just like the app they choose on their phone.
Our number one goal when creating Vlogging Academy was to figure out how to get content creation to fit into your daily life. It's supposed to be authentic for that reason. And if you want to learn more about it, you can go to vloggingacademy.com. Our thanks to the students of Vlogging Academy who make this show possible. Some real-time follow-up for you from Doc Rock. Again, not to be an ex-Apple employee here, but Apple TV in 2007 had YouTube data showing people watch on TV 6 years before Chromecast did in 2013. So I'm going to say it was us, not Chromecast. That's kind of an interesting
Apple?
tip. I had never heard of that before, but yeah, that makes Apple TV OG on the TV with YouTube. Let's go and move on to the film room. This is our segment of the show where we get to do the director's commentary for our channels. Benji, you've got a lot going on your channel, and I wanted to talk about
my YouTube studio right now and see what's up.
I wanted to talk about a vlog you uploaded. I think it was last week or the week before, which was your hour and 15-minute TNT vlog.
Yeah.
When you sent it to me, I took a look at it and looked at the statistics, and it looked like it was taking off, right? First of all, it was showing that it was doing very well in terms of AdSense. But more than that, one of the things you talked to me about was exactly how long people were watching that. And it was for 21 minutes at the time, which is incredible. That's the average. That's not what the minimum is. That's not like even necessarily the maximum. Some people were going and they were watching it for the entire hour and 15 minutes, right? But on average, someone clicking on that video was watching for 21 minutes. They were with you for 21 minutes at any given time. So I'm curious about the production of that vlog. I'm curious about your thoughts about your channel overall at this moment in time. But I want to know what your thoughts are about making your, I don't know if it's your first hour-long vlog. But,
it's my longest vlog.
But definitely your longest vlog. So tell me about what's been going on with that video on your channel.
Well, yeah, and it's been up for 9 days now. And an hour and 15 minutes. Where it landed was right now is at 22,000 views on my analytics. The average view duration is at 19 minutes and 41 seconds. Massive. So the thing is this, it's still chugging along.
Wow.
It's still getting views. And my theory is, and what I thought would happen with this, by default, YouTube wants to suggest longer videos. So because there's probably no video out there covering TNT Supermarket at this length, when people are done watching all the videos that they've chosen, if they let it go on autoplay, there's a huge incentive for YouTube to suggest mine. Now, if you look at the actual AVD percentage, that's only 25% of the video. Some people, I was talking to a creator just this past weekend about, hey, is that good or bad? But ultimately, it's about the actual minutes watched.
Yes.
If you're a creator right now, you know that it's more powerful to have somebody hanging out with you for 20 minutes versus 20 seconds. That ain't even a question or a conversation or a debate. Everybody would want that. Guess who else wants it? YouTube.
Of course.
And so if you've got a topic you're covering, this is where Vlogging Academy comes into play because we teach you how to take advantage of this. And YouTube has to decide, even though pound for pound, they're not watching the whole hour and 15 minutes. In fact, I usually have a 50% average view duration, which would mean it'd be like longer. It would be like
minutes.
Yeah, 30 some minutes. So when I see this low number of 19 minutes compared to the hour and 15 minutes, that's not a bad thing, right? And this is why it'll keep getting views over a long period of time. That's the other bonus of YouTube. It's evergreen content, like this. It's kind of timestamped for when this is a new store opening. But people that love TNT, they just want to know what's in TNT. What is selling at your store? What is it I'm interested in? Why am I interested in it? Like, do I think that food that I was trying in the middle of the aisle, is it delicious? Like an employee came and gave me food because I was going to meet with the CEO. And I tried it right in the middle of the aisle because that was the only spot that wasn't busy. It was the makeup section, funny enough, of this grocery store.
Good lighting.
So,
Good lighting there.
Yeah, good lighting for sure. And that's what I never thought about that. There's probably more lighting there. It always looks brighter. So the takeaway is it worked. And I've been telling people it can't be bad. It's got to be somewhat good, but it doesn't have to be great because there's so little supply of these longer videos, especially around a specific topic, that by default you're winning. And it reminds me of 2008. Now, I'm not downplaying the creators of that era, but they had less competition.
Yeah.
Judy says it. If she were to start YouTube 10 years after she started, so 2018 versus 2008, she believes she wouldn't have been able to make it because there's so much competition. So this is simple supply and demand. When there's less supply, lots of demand, whatever's supplying, right, the content is going to win. They're going to get more views until, guess what? More people start becoming creators. More content's competing for the demand. And then guess what? Supply outweighs demand, and then it gets super competitive. That's happening right now just for longer form videos. It's weird to say longer form because what is that? It's just long form, just that's longer. And that's what I'm saying. I'm telling people, hey, if you can make it 30 minutes, make it 30 minutes. There's no point in doing anything under 10 minutes. Now, I do get corrected when I see something at 6 or 7 minutes going viral. What I'm saying is the demand for that is a lot less. So yes, there's videos that work and get millions of views sometimes, but it's from the best creators usually. And it's not the more amateur, more casual, more relaxed type of content that you get with my style of vlogging. But I'm winning until I'm not. You know what? I tell everyone, well, it's funny. We're talking about TNT. How about my last 2 videos? Let's talk about those.
That, please. Yeah.
I uploaded one 4 days ago, 50,000 views, AVD, 12 and a half minutes. It's a best Black Friday sale at Costco.
How long was that video?
That video was 36 minutes. Okay. So pound for pound, much better percentage. But does that really matter? It's still just, it's 12 minutes of someone watching.
Yeah.
And it's very relevant for the time. And it's doing really well. And it's going to continue doing well probably up until Friday. Right now, when we're recording this, it's Wednesday. Mm-hmm. So we got a couple more days till Black Friday. And then might get some runoff. But the point is that was content I didn't have to create a production for it. I was just going shopping for what I normally would go shopping for. I was like, hey, let me check out the sales at Costco since I'm here. It's not something I ever do. In fact, I only did it because it brings me back to when I used to go to Black Friday sales at Costco. I was like, let me just check it out. And it's just fun content, a little bit different. But still, I went shopping the normal way. Then yesterday, I went Thanksgiving dinner deals shopping. I sound like a title, but that's what I was doing. I was looking for deals for my Thanksgiving dinner. I vlogged that, and that video became a 1 out of 10. It's funny, it just hit 2 out of 10 though, right? And that's a whole nother discussion, but still, I'm not complaining. It's at 16,500 views, 16,500 views, and that will continue to go. And I have a feeling that one until Thanksgiving, which is tomorrow, will have legs. Why is this important? Because those are 2 things I would have done no matter what.
Yeah.
And I just documented it. That's like the ultimate power of a vlog. So think about the things you as a creator are already doing that you could document that would be interesting, relevant, educational, informational, or just engaging for an audience out there. They're just waiting for you to document it.
Yes.
Because whatever you do that you love, you're probably doing it all the time. The difference between like even 1,000 people seeing it and 0 people seeing it is you vlogging it and uploading to YouTube. It can be that easy right now. And it hasn't been like that since when I started in 2008. It is like that right now, but the window of opportunity is small. And that's why you should definitely sign up for Vlogging Academy. Links down below, or at least just start vlogging it. But if you want to learn from me how I'm doing it and how I applied it to my content, my channel, vloggingacademy.com.
Let's go ahead and wrap up the show with some Ask CSP. This is the segment of the show where we answer creator questions, Ask Creator Secrets Podcast. If you want a question answered on the show, you can use the hashtag AskCSP, or you can email us directly at hello@vloggingacademy.com. First one is from Salomea, who asked a couple weeks ago about what AI you're using at the moment for creation. Benji, are you using any AI when you create your videos, or and how has that ebbed and flowed in your process?
No. In fact, I thought about this the other day because, friends of mine like Sean Cannell of Think Media, another friend of mine, Matt, is using it as well. He uses it for scripts. Sean uses it for all kinds of other stuff. I was like, again, going back to the pirate mentality, I just want to kind of go rogue. Even my thumbnails.
Oh, gee.
So I had a choice. My thumbnail, I don't know if you can see the thumbnails on here, but my thumbnail this last vlog was me in front of the Costco sign. And shout out to my editor, Chris, who makes all my thumbnails amazing. he actually replaced the Costco sign with the actual logo to make it punchier and make it bright because he had to do some editing magic and it's like blurry around the wholesale word of the Costco logo. I said, no, don't do that. So just leave it raw the way it looks, even if it's like a little funky. Because one, I want to prove that you don't need to use AI to win. And then two, I actually think in the sea of AI'd thumbnails, mine stands out. It might not be as punchy, it might not be as bright, but it will start sticking out. And there's always, like I said, like something trendy isn't trending anymore at one point. And I'm trying to do the opposite because one, it's easier for other people to replicate my style of thumbnails. So I want to get really good at it so that you can see what to do, or I can teach it to you. And then two, I actually know, just like the fashion thing, I'm a good example. I keep wearing things over and over and over until like it goes out of style and then it comes back into style. Like that is my fashion sense. Okay. So I actually believe there will be almost like a novelty with these like real life thumbnails. Okay. Even like vlogging, if you think about it, it's anti-production. It's just me and a camera, no camera guy, right? The most producing is that the fact that I have an editor and he knows, Chris knows, it's one of the easiest things to edit compared to anything else that you would produce. Not saying that he's not a good editor. He's actually a great editor, right? And we work well together. But the whole point is it's supposed to be easier, you know? I usually send him content and within a few hours, he can have it up onto YouTube, ready for me to view to get it up there. So what I was saying, like answering the question, do I use AI? I'm using it for personal reasons, right? I'd say for information to do search, but when it comes to my content, I'm almost protecting it from that because I actually feel like it will be a strength of mine and it makes me a better creator and it'll be novel. I do also think it can be helpful and there's a lot of creators that's benefiting. I just kind of want to stick out, you know, I want to be like that purple flower amongst yellow flowers because right now when everyone's using it, and I see it, you see it when you scroll through, how many videos are using AI to create their thumbnails, creators using and so my ghetto, just selfie mode, trying to get the logo in the right part of the frame, I think is going to win. And at least for me, it's like a huge experiment.
Yeah, it's also part of your brand, right? I hadn't thought about that in terms of it standing out amongst other things because the thing that's always brighter is it doesn't necessarily always stand out if everything else is bright as well.
Exactly.
For me, I'm also not really I use it for research. Sometimes if I'm writing a script, I'll beat up an idea with AI. I use it very mindfully. I even uploaded a video for me where, I talked about how AI was actually getting in my way of finishing videos because I was just overthinking things too much, basically, with it. So I'm kind of in the same boat as you. Our second and final question of the day is from Sylvia Halim, who asks, what editing software is the best to use for vlogging? Big one for you.
Number one is always whatever is easiest for you to use, or in some cases, what you already have. I think that we'll get to a point where YouTube is going to have a good enough editor. I don't even know if they do or not. So that one I know is kind of like, cliche answer. Second thing for me is iMovie. Because I have an Apple computer, iMovie is the one that comes for free on it. And it's so good, you don't need to buy anything. But also, if you want to raise your production level, you can easily go from iMovie to Final Cut Pro, which is the pro version. They make movies with Final Cut Pro. But it's like elementary level, so it's super easy, the iMovie. But it's a nice progression to Final Cut Pro. So personally, I actually use both. iMovie and Final Cut Pro, depending on the device. I used iMovie the other day. Oh, what video was it? I edited a sponsored vlog with iMovie because I couldn't get the login for my Final Cut and I had deleted it to make room. So that proves to you, by the way, that video performed really well using iMovie, the most basic Apple-based editing software, and I didn't even skip a beat. Because that's how I started and how I learned, and it's plenty good. There are some functions, though, that it wasn't in there that I'm like, oh, I wish I did have it, that Final Cut has. So it can't do everything, but it does enough, especially for my vlogging method. It's what I personally use. But I've heard good things about other things like CapCut and other free software. But don't overthink it. If you have an Apple, use iMovie for sure, especially if you're a beginner. And if you don't, definitely, I don't know, Movie Maker, is that still a thing
I
on
think
PC?
so, yeah. That's what I got started off
That's
on
scary.
way a long time ago.
Trauma from a Movie Maker.
Well, but the beauty, right, of the new vlogging method is that it should work in pretty much any editing software. So whatever you have with you is whatever's best, especially at the beginning. Don't overthink it, right? For me, I use Final Cut Pro because its editing style is very straightforward. If I have a bunch of clips, I can throw them in the timeline. It puts them all in order. I move one end of the clip just to trim off the front and back of it, and I'm good to go. So for me, I'm looking for whatever simplifies my workflow the most. And for the new vlogging method, I think that iMovie and Final Cut Pro are both amazing options. If you're looking for something on the phone, I mean, you have a litany of options that are all pretty much the same, in my opinion. CapCut is pretty good. Premiere is pretty good. They just released Premiere, by the way. They also have an upload direct feature to YouTube on that as well. So there's a lot of decent ones on the phone. But honestly, I think the best thing to do is, if you have a Mac, throw it into iMovie. Get started with that. If you really want to upgrade, go to Final Cut Pro. That's it for the show this week. Thanks to our students of Vlogging Academy who make this show possible. And we'll go ahead and see you all next week.
Bye-bye.